The Earth is about 12,760 kilometers in diameter and about 150 million kilometers away from the Sun. The nearest stars beside the Sun are about 4.3 light years away. 1 light year is equal to 9.5 times 10 to the 12th kilometers. At a scale of 1 to 10 billion, the Sun would be about the size of a grapefruit. How big and how far away would the Earth be on this scale? How far would the nearest stars besides the Sun be? When we look at this particular problem, we need to understand that there are various amounts of information in here that we need to be aware of. And I'm underlining some of them that are key. The Earth is about 12,760 kilometers. So we'll write down Earth, and that's a diameter. We also know that from the Earth to the Sun is 150 million kilometers. In addition, we have information that says the stars, the nearest stars, are about 4.3 light years away. So stars notice that I'm writing it as LY to represent light year. And then finally, we are going to have an important piece of information at a scale of 1 to 10 billion. So the scale will look like this: 1 to 10 billion. And there are various parts of the question that we're going to copy into this and we're going to deal with. So we're going to answer the question, approximately how big would the Earth's diameter be on this scale? Notice that this is a multiple choice question, and that the units that we have given in the problem are either in millimeters or centimeters. So we need to pay very close attention to our scale. So let's consider the Earth's diameter of 12,760 kilometers. Well, what I want to do is go ahead and rewrite this in terms of meters, which will be 12,760, and kilometers means that we're looking at 12,760,000 meters. And then we're going to divide by the scale, which is 10 billion. And when we divide through by this scale, what we're going to do is let's divide out these zeros. So we're now looking at 12,760 over 10 million. Notice that there are 7 zeros here. And since there are 7 zeros, I'm simply going to take the decimal point in 12,760, and since I'm dividing, I will move this decimal point to the left 7 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice that I'm going to have to add in 2 placeholder zeros here. And if we look very carefully at our possible answers here, there's only one that's going to be in the realm of where I want it to be. Notice that we will rewrite this as 0.00127760. Now that's in terms of meters. And since my choices here are going to be in millimeters or centimeters, remember that millimeters will be times 1,000 and centimeters will be times 100. So let's start by moving this decimal place 2 decimal places to the right. 1, 2. That's if we're looking at centimeters. Unfortunately, that does not correspond to anything that I have in my list. So then we'll go ahead and move it 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3 decimal places, which will give me 1.2760 millimeters, which can be rounded to 1.3 millimeters. Therefore, the Earth's diameter would be approximately 4.3 millimeters based on this scale. The next part of this will be approximately how far away would the two objects be on this scale. Once again, remember that we're looking at a 1 in 10 billion scale. And remember that the distance between the two objects, and let's scroll back up and look, is 150 million kilometers. So let's write that out. The distance is 150 million. So that would be this written out, and that's in kilometers. Now remember, we have a 10 billion scale here, and so I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the scale of 10 billion. And I notice that I can go ahead and divide those zeros out and these zeros out, and I'm left with 150 kilometers over 10,000. So let's take that 150 kilometers and change it into meters, which will be 150,000 meters. And we will divide that by the remaining scale of 10,000 here. And notice that I can once again go ahead and divide that out, and then I have 150 over 10, and that will simply reduce down to 15 meters. Therefore, approximately how far away would the two objects be on the scale? It will be 15 meters. Finally, approximately how far would the nearest stars besides the Sun be on this scale? And then we are given 4 choices. But once again, we need to remember what the scale is. As we know, it's 1 in 10 billion, but the stars are 4.3 light years away, which is 9.5 times 10 to the 12th kilometers. And that means that we need to do some converting. So let's scroll back down here. Once again, we'll write the scale out as 1 to 10 billion. And then we know that the stars themselves are going to be 4.3 light years away. Now remember that 4.3 light years is coupled with the fact that 1 light year is equal to 9.5 times 10 to the 12th kilometers. So we need to go ahead and find out exactly how far away they are. So we'll take the 4.3 and multiply it by the 9.5 times 10 to the 12th kilometers. So when we multiply 4.3 times the 9.5, that will yield 40.85 times 10 to the 12th kilometers. But unfortunately, I cannot leave this 40.85 like so because it's no longer in scientific notation. So this becomes 4.085 times 10 to the 13th power kilometers. Now let's discuss the scale. We'll take this 4.085 times 10 to the 13th kilometers, and we're going to divide it by the scale. Well, since this first one is in scientific notation, I'm going to consider this scale and write this in scientific notation. This will become 1 times 10 to the 10th. Because if you notice, we start here, we move our decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 places to the left. So let's simply divide by 1 times 10 to the 13th power. I'm sorry, not 13th, but 10th power. And now what we can do is we can separate these, and these two will divide out, and that will leave me with 4.085. And we're going to multiply that by, and we will go ahead and look at these. And 10 to the 13th divided by 10 to the 10th is simply 10 to the 3rd power, because you would take this 13 and subtract the 10. and that would be once again in kilometers. So we can go ahead and write this out as 4,085 kilometers. Now, one of the things we need to remember here is rounding, because if we look at these right here, there is no 4,085. However, this right here is pretty close, so the answer would be 4,100 kilometers.